So at the beginning of each and every year since we started podcasting, Rob and I have bravely or foolishly made predictions about the upcoming year and what will happen to the property market and other stuff like Brexit and stock prices. I don't know why we do it, but we do. And in this week, you'll find out how we did.
Welcome to the Property Podcast, where every Thursday morning property investors come to be informed and inspired. One way in which we try to inform you for the year ahead is by making predictions. And in recent years, we've been doing pretty well. Will that pattern have held in 2019? Well, we've listened back to what we said in January, we've dug out the stats, and now we're going to reveal all. It's the most nervy time of the year for Rob and Rob. We're going to look back over our property market predictions for 2019. We do this every year. Every January, we foolishly go on record and say what we think is going to happen. And then come the end of the year, just to make sure there's no cheating, we actually play back what we said, then compare it to what happened. So in 2018, we did really, really well. We had almost a clean sweep. So it can only be downhill from there. Are you ready to see how we did, Rob?
Sort of. Let's do it.
That's as good as we can hope for. Okay, let's have a listen to our first prediction. This is what we had to say about which cities would have the best house price growth in 2019.
So these are our top 5 cities in England.
I've picked the first 3, and I've gone for Leeds, Nottingham and Birmingham.
And I completely agree with that. And to possibly make myself look silly, I'm going to try and complete the set. And I believe Liverpool and Manchester will also be in the top 5. Okay, so as we've picked out England specifically there, looking at the latest Home Track report as we record this, we've done very well, Rob. We've got 4 of the top 5. The only one that we didn't get in there was Nottingham, and that came 6th. So it was Leicester, that local rival to Nottingham, that actually knocked it out. So we were very, very close to perfection there, which was quite bold trying to pick the top 5 and get it exactly bang on. So, okay, it might not be perfect, but I think that's commendable. I'll take that.
I'll take that. It's a surprise to see Leicester at number 1, and we completely missed out on Leicester. But given that we got all the others between us, I think we're off to a strong start.
So next we looked at the UK as a whole. Let's listen back to what we said.
What about price movement for the whole of the UK? So what's your prediction for the UK on average?
I don't think the average will go into negative territory. So the UK market as a whole will end up somewhere between 0 and 3%.
I'm going to go a bit more specific, and I'm going to say that it's not going to be negative, but there's going to be no more than 1% growth nationally. Okay, Rob, you've made some bold predictions in the past. This was not one of them. Between 0 and 3%, you were giving yourself a fair bit of leeway. I said it was going to be between 0 and 1%. And going off the latest nationwide figures, so these came out at the end of November, they're the most recent figures we've got, it says that prices rose 0.8% in the year to late November. So as long as we don't get a massive December spike, looks like we're both going to be right on that one.
Yeah, I was right, but you were really right. So well done there, Mr. D. Next up, we talked about the capital city, London. Everyone wants to know what's happening with London property, and we gave you our thoughts at the beginning of the year. So let's see how we did.
I think London will continue to be the worst performing region. Not necessarily city, but region. It was in 2018, and I think if I was going to put money on any of my predictions, this would be the one.
I'm with you, Rob. I can't see it being anywhere else. And I think London and the South East will fall in real terms. So it'd be less than inflation. I wouldn't be surprised if London went into negative territory.
Well, I said that I'd put money on that one, and I didn't. But if I had done, my money would have been safe, because London was indeed the worst performing region over the last 12 months. As of at least the end of Q3, which is the latest data we've got, this regional breakdown only comes out quarterly. So London itself at the bottom of the list, with the outer Met just above that and the outer Southeast just above that. So not a strong year at all for the Southeast. But lucky I said region, not city, because Oxford was actually the worst performing.
Yeah, and I was quite happy because I mentioned the Southeast as well. I said they'd fall in real terms, and I wouldn't be surprised if London went into negative territory. Well, London is in negative territory, and actually the Southeast is as well. So I should have been more negative, which is quite hard for me to do, but I will try with our predictions for next year. But Rob, it's quite easy to be negative about our next subject, which is Brexit. I feel pretty confident that there will be no deal. So I don't know what we're going to get, but I don't believe any politician is bold enough to push through a no deal.
Well, you said that there would be no deal, and you're currently right. You could yet turn out to be wrong, but from the way things are looking, it seems highly likely that you're going to end up being right about that one, and there will be a deal. What we failed to predict was that there still wouldn't actually be an answer at this point, and we'd still get to the end of the year not really being any further ahead than we were at the start of the year.
So moving on to safer territory and less controversial, Rob, you decided to talk about transaction volumes.
I think transaction volumes are going to be really low this year. So not a Brexit prediction as such, but as a result of that, I think we're going to see lower transaction volumes in 2019 than we did in 2018. Yeah, I'd put this one down as a qualified fail, maybe. Luckily for me, there isn't any annual data yet. There's just month-by-month data. So in July, for example, transactions were 12.5% lower than they were the previous year. But in October, they were 4.3 higher than they were the previous October. So we don't actually have the data. We don't know if over the year transactions were actually lower than 2018, which is what I said. So I'd put this one down as a probable fail strictly. But because of all the wranglings and the uncertainty and everything else, one thing you can say for sure is that transaction volumes have been low. Nothing has happened that's allowed them to pop back up to closer than their historical average. And the final prediction, Rob, was one that you made about the markets in general.
This will be a dull year for all markets. I don't see the property market crashing. I don't see it surging, as we've already said. I don't think any major market that people invest in will surge or fall dramatically. But what will happen is the media will be very negative. Okay, so the media being negative wasn't really that bold, was it? But I'm quite happy with my overall thoughts of how the property market will be this year. It's kind of a great summary, really. It's not crashed, it's not surged, it's kind of just done okay. No real drama, although there's been a lot of drama outside of property. In terms of property prices, some decent solid growth in uncertain times in the Midlands and the North, a bit of a dip in the South, but nothing too scary. And overall, it's just been a steady, solid year.
And you extended that prediction beyond just property and talked about all markets. And if we take the FTSE 100 as the main example of an alternative mainstream investment to property, you were right about that as well. The FTSE is up this year, but not dramatically so. And it never dipped below the level it was at the start of the year. So very slow and steady there as well.
So I'm pretty happy with that, Rob. Out of 6, we got 4 right, 1 sort of right, and 1 wrong. That's not bad. It may seem easy now, listening back going, of course, once it's happened, it's very easy to say all these things are going to happen. But trust me, make some predictions of your own for 2020, write them down and see how you do at the end of the year. Lucky for you, you don't have to podcast about them. But it is scary when we do this and putting ourselves out year after year. It's a bit of a gamble, but we love it doing it, and we know you love us doing it as well. So are we going to be brave enough to do it again? Yeah, of course we are. You looking forward to that, Rob?
Well, our predictions will be coming out in the second week of January, so we're giving ourselves Christmas to decompress a little bit and give it some thought. We've had 2 good years in a row. Hopefully, we'll make that 3. So make sure you're listening at the start of January to see what the future holds, or what we think it will, at least.
So, what's our final prediction? Well, Christmas is coming. So that leaves us with one last thing to say, which is Happy Christmas, everyone. I hope you've had a really good year. And if it's been challenging, well, I hope you've learned from those challenges, because then we can all go into 2020 stronger. And we'll be thinking about our year as well. And we'll be back on Boxing Day. Yes, you heard correctly. We never miss a week. We'll be back on Boxing Day with our reflections of the year. So if you need a little break from your family or just a bit of quiet time, the podcast will be there for you on the 26th, where we'll be giving you our thoughts on 2019.
Yep, so until then, thank you for listening to us this year and have a fantastic Christmas. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.